Okay, we're getting close. How are we doing?
We're good. We're just waiting for
Michael?
we have Michael.
Oh, is he there somewhere? Oh, there he is.
I don't think we're waiting for anyone. Hang on.
And I see Maureen's there.
7. We have everyone and we're live on YouTube.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Just a quick note, just before we get things opened up here and start on our way, just a follow up from that email from this afternoon. So for going to question, any kind of a question period, we're going to use the mechanical because I got it up right on the side here and I think it'll work out really well. The mechanical hands up.
Right.
Or normal.
Digital one, is that what you mean?
The participants list.
Yeah, participants one, yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's nice because it puts it all in order and everything. And we'll call this meeting to order. And this is the regular council meeting of Monday, November the 9th. And the approval of the agenda is the first item. Introduction of late items, Hope.
We just have a few late items. They were 2 of them were circulated by email earlier today.
Okay,
One item, it's in relation to item 3.4 and 3.5. It's a letter from Jane Osborne regarding the 2 DVP applications. And then a new item under 10.5 from Councillor Nicholson regarding on-island COVID testing. And then just an amendment to item 10.6, which is the motion to move to a closed. When the late items agenda was produced, I failed to amend the motion. So just to include section A of the community charter as well, which is just information about an identifiable person. And that's just in relation to committee.
All right, thank you.
Can I check, where did you put Maureen's motion?
So I put her just above the motion to move to a close. So it would become 10.6 and then 10.6 would become 10.7.
Thank you.
Sorry,
And then,
go ahead, Liam.
oh, I was just going to also ask if we could introduce, take a moment to introduce Jillian Drake.
Oh, for sure.
So Jillian joined us last week. She's our new manager of recreation and community services and signed on. We don't have agenda items for her department on tonight, but I thought it was a good opportunity for all of you to meet Jillian and for her to meet you.
Well, that's very nice. Welcome, Jillian.
Welcome to the team.
Seeing each other around a bit. Willing to put yourself through this torture chamber for us. I mean, that's Hope, what was that section that we were missing on the close?
Section A.
Okay, thank you.
90 sub 1A or?
Is it section 1A or?
91A, that's correct.
Yeah.
I can read it out when we get to that section if you like.
Okay, let's do that then. All right, and so there's a motion to approve the agenda. That second. I can use, you put a hand up now. Thank you, Sue Ellen. And all in favor, as amended, by the way, the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was
Perfect. Thank you.
Maureen, there you go. Perfect. All right, public comments, Hope.
We have no one registered on the speakers list for tonight. And seeing as we have no members of the public present, we can assume there are none.
Okay, we'll assume that and we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything on there? Like some more clarification on and want to pull?
Councillor Fast has her hand up.
Yes, Sue.
Yes, I'd like to pull 3.4, please.
Okay, 3.4, Sue Ellen. And anybody else? That's pretty good, eh?
So we'll move that
I
to,
don't see any other hands up there. So
would you like to move that to staff reports or under section 11? Doesn't.
well, what's it referring to?
It's the development variance for Cardina. That's my.
Oh, yeah,
question.
okay.
So that's Emma. Daniel, are you prepared to speak to that if needed, or should I send a message to Emma?
Emma should be on standby and should be on, but if not, I can speak to it.
Okay, great. So I would suggest that stage, we should put it under section 7 staff report, so Emma doesn't need to hang around too long.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move that up to section 7 then. And that's 3.4. Thank you. It's really hard moving this stuff around. All right, we'll get that done. And the motion is the council approve the items as outlined in the November 9th, 2020 consent agenda as amended. Moving. Second.
Aye.
Thanks, Maureen. I got, and all in favor. Aye.
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 Okay, nice. Perfect. Thank you.
And Emma's just joining us now, so that's good time.
Okay, she won't have to wait too long.
No.
So we're going to move on to delegations. We have none. And the business arising from the minutes and the bylaws are in the consent agenda. And so staff reports, we're going to go right to Emma. It just happens to be there. And Sue Ellen, do you want to make some comments?
Sure. I wanted to pull this item for the same reasons that I spoke against it the last time. And that is the issue with the marine foreshore and the character of the island. So I'll just I took a quick look through the Bowen Island OCP update. And so this is our official community plan. Our community plan created, for many, many years and adapted in various reviews by the community through the work of the Islands Trust before, and then the municipality within the last 20 years. And there's a few things in there. Objective 35, to protect the natural and scenic values of the coastline that provide the rural maritime atmosphere of the island. Policy 114 refers to the protection of the coastal aesthetic. And I just think Bowen Island has a unique character and feeling, and it's different from West Vancouver or other subdivisions. And I would like to respect the setbacks that previous councils and the community put in place through our various consultations. And these folks want to put an addition on the side of their house. And I think it blocks the views from the street, or it could, and further than their deck already does. And I just am concerned that the additions to houses and sizes of houses can keep growing according to the way we vote on development variance permits. And I think we should be respecting the setbacks and keeping diversity of houses, sizes, so they don't just keep getting bigger and bigger. And especially along our coastlines that Bowen Islanders value. So I'll be voting against this motion.
Okay, very good then. Do you want to read the motion? Is there any other comments on this one? We've been through it once already. Okay, I don't see anybody's hands.
Councillor Morse has her hand up. Sorry.
I'll read the motion
Thank you, Allison.
if I can find it. The council issued development variance permit DVP 08-2020 for the variance of reduced sea setback for 361 Cardina Drive, legally described as Lot 26, Plan 11088, Block 3, District Lot 490, PID 009163361.
All right, thank you. Do I have a second on that? A second on that, please. Thank you, Michael. Okay, if there's no further discussion, we'll ask the question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and opposed?
Opposed.
Rob, is that opposed or? Rob?
Yeah, I was trying to put my hand up to ask Emma a quick question before we vote on it. Is that still possible? Sorry, that's why I was putting my hand up there earlier on the screen there under participants.
Okay, I think
Can I
that,
ask Emma a quick question before?
yes.
Emma, I'm just trying to recall that specific development. How big of an addition was that onto the house? Do you recall that off the top of your head?
No, I don't have the floor, the footprint area off the top of my head. It's in the report though. It's a fairly modest addition.
Okay, all right, thanks. I'll vote for it.
Okay, Rob, you're in favor, and so we have Sue Ellen opposed. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Rob. And, okay, so we'll move on to number 8. There's correspondence there, reports of committees, cows, and commissions is dealt with under the consent agenda. And new business.
Sorry, Mayor,
let's-
under correspondence, there is that, there is the
8.1, yeah.
8.1 is from the Deputy Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing regarding the COVID Safe Restart Grant
Okay,
that we just received. And
But was there a resolution in there? Sorry, I missed it.
there's no recommendation, but I think we just wanted to acknowledge that we received it. And I think, Liam, did you want to speak to that, or
Sure.
any members of council, just so for the public's?
Yeah, thank you, Hope. I think it is good to acknowledge it. It is a pretty important letter. And so it's a letter that confirms a grant that we will be receiving in the coming days for $1.273 million for a safe restart for local governments, a program put together in collaboration with the federal government and the provincial government. It has identified eligible costs for addressing revenue shortfalls, facility reopenings and operating costs, emergency planning and response costs, bylaw enforcement and protective services like fire protection and policing, computer and other electronic technology costs to improve interconnectivity and virtual communications, services for vulnerable persons, persons living with disabilities, mental illness or addictions, persons experiencing homelessness or other vulnerabilities, and other related costs. So it's a welcome and timely grant, and we are incorporating it into our budget process, which is happening right now. And so there's no restriction on the timeline for use of the funds, but we do have to report on how those funds are used and ensuring that's in alignment with the intended use.
How are the things, hon?
Oh, Bonnie, I think your mic should be on mute. And so I think for now, I think we really just want to get clarity. For now, we really just want to get further detail and clarification from the ministry, which we've reached out to them on, out to them for more details, and we'll report that back to council. And I did also want to share with you that I have been getting requests from the public on the use of those funds, and my current advice and recommendation is to sit tight and not to allocate the funds to any particular use at this point in time, and just get further clarification on any details and to go slow with the use of those funds.
Where are those funds going to sit, Liam?
Well, right now
Just wherever.
yeah, it'll just come in as a grant in our account until we get we can choose as the best how to use it.
Yeah. Okay. Very worthwhile. Maureen, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to Liam's comments about how welcome this grant is and how unexpected the size of it was. So it affords a bit of leeway in terms of the budgeting process, and I'm glad that we're taking a bit of, or that Liam's recommending that we take a bit of a let's wait and see what kinds of uses are eligible costs under this program. And I think one of the key things we need to keep in mind is that we're very much in the midst of COVID, and we don't know how long this is going to last. So precipitous spending because we have what appears to be a windfall at this point is not a good plan. And just stay in the course and making good choices along the way. is what I'm hoping for. So yay, we received a
Yeah.
great grant unexpectedly.
Aren't we all? Thank you, Maureen. To David.
Thank you, Gary. And actually, Liam answered my question, and Maureen made the points that I wanted to make. So I just wanted to express my appreciation, and all my questions and comments have been covered. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, David. And Sue Ellen Fast.
Thank you. Yes, this was wonderful news. And my question is, how much, if we know, I think I read in the letter there that that some things will be permitted, or that there are some considerations as to how the money can be spent. Do we know, we have all this information now, or is it sort of going to be coming?
Liam, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, so this grant is enabled through the local government grants regulation. So in that regulation, it specifies a little more detail about the eligibility of spending.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, and it's the specific program is called the COVID-19 Safety Restart Grants, and it can be used for, it's quite wide in terms of what it can be used for, and it's also can be used without limitation to the list that's provided in the regulation. The province, including the term without limitation, is quite empowering, because it basically does not limit to how we can use it whatsoever. But the intent is for it to be used towards COVID safe restart. So I think we want to try as hard as we can to stick to that. But I do agree that there are going to be some really immediate direct costs that we think could be aligned quite closely to what this grant is intended for. Immediately, there are some expenditures that we've spent in the municipality for providing safe work environment for staff, including a lot of plexiglass, a lot of personal protective equipment. We're having some real concerns about air quality. So we're looking at, upgrading some of the air circulation in the building with some purifiers. And these would be fairly modest expenditures, which we could have probably afforded without the funding, but it certainly helps take the pressure off on the budget process. And so I would like to hear back from the ministry and come forward with some recommendations for some immediate uses, but also some longer term considerations as well.
Well, thank you. If I can just respond, because I was looking at the words eligible costs will include, and then hearing you say kind of all kinds of things, I was curious about that. So we'll find out more. But otherwise, I support also what Maureen said about let's take it carefully, because we don't know how long this is all going to take, really. We hear the odd bits of good news, but it's still, that was only a press release today about the one vaccine, and it could be a long process. So I support the being careful idea.
Slow and easy. All right, thanks to Ellen and Allison.
Thanks, Rander. I guess timing, Liam, my understanding is we're going to get it before December 31st. So we've got all of it, and it'll be general revenue. And I'm certainly supporting the comments about taking it slow. Let's not rush it and spend it on things that are COVID related, so they'll go away, and or other one-time things if they don't have to be COVID related. It's not, we shouldn't be using it for general regular operating, because then we'll find ourselves in a pickle later on. Okay, so that's good news. Thank you. I know the other formal question is, should council not be adopting a resolution and requesting staff to send a letter of thanks to the ministry?
That sounds like a great idea. I've already expressed our our appreciation to the deputy who sent the letter, but I think that's a great idea, Councillor Morris, if we
Okay,
be
so
happy
I
to
would
draft that.
move that council request the letter be sent under the mayor's signature to the ministry, thanking them for the grant.
And I'll second.
Second it.
Thank you. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'm seeing a full house there. Thanks, Rob. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. And very worthwhile. I'm glad we went through that. Sorry for the oversight there. And we're moving right into new business, which is the Metro Vancouver Director, David Hawking. Update to council. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. The last meeting was the one that I actually spoke about the budget just before the final budget meeting, but all the budget work that was done in the workshop was passed in the budget, so I don't really have, that was a major item. I don't really have any other news. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Islands Trust and Island Trust Trustee Fast on the Ocean Watch Action Committee. And just while we'll catch it a little later. I've got the book here. It's quite an anthology. Go ahead, Sue Ellen.
Okay, sorry, where are we now?
We're at 10.2.
Thank you.
We're on.
Just making sure I'm flipping around. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. This is just bringing what the last meeting from How Sound Community Forum that some of us attended. This was discussed, and the little report is attached there in the little report that I put in. But basically, this is just to help us continue with the restoration of How Sound and working with other communities around How Sound. Just flagging with you that the new publications are out. So from 20 years ago when the How Sound Community Forum was first set up, yeah, that's it. Thank you, Gary. I dropped Gary's off today.
Oh, you got one too. Okay, that's great.
Executive
I was
summary.
going to leave this at the Muni, Sue Ellen, if that would be.
Sure. Yeah, whatever you. I think that would be great.
56 pages of an amazing anthology of How Sound. It's fantastic.
That's right. It's the follow-up from the 2017 version. So it's got some good maps in it, and it follows up on sort of a health report on the different aspects of How Sound that have been identified: clean water, development, sense of place, species and habitat, like the whales came back, that kind of thing, as well as progress report on the actions we've taken since 2017. Bonnie and I have been working on the what was then the How Sound Ocean Watch Task Force set up to try and get some things going, because it was hard to take action or to do anything beyond networking through the How Sound Community Forum. But we've made progress. So this is sort of a little report card on the different kinds of process we made. What's new this time is greenhouse gas emissions impacts and what might be happening. And I'll stop holding this up in a minute, but there's a list of new actions. And so that's what it sets us up for the next few years of working together to restore How Sound and keep the marine waters around Bowen Island healthy. And so that's why the recommendations are here, and I'd like to read them if I may. Whereas continued collaboration, commitment, and resourcing by governments are important to advance local, regional, and national actions to support ocean marine health in the Alkitsum How Sound bioregion, be it resolved that the Ocean Watch How Sound Ocean Watch 2020 edition and resulting action items be received, and that participation by Bowen Island Municipality representatives and manager of Environment and Parks Planning, Bonny, Brokenshire or designate, and Councillor Sue Ellen Fast in the Ocean Watch Action Committee be supported in order to continue to advance identified recommended actions in the Ocean Wise How Sound Ocean Watch 2020 edition. And that the How Sound Biosphere Region Initiative Society be recommended as the host society for the Ocean Watch Action Committee. That's the motion.
All right, I'll second that. And any further discussion on that? Anybody want to chat about it? I think we should thank the people involved there. Sigma Foundation was one of them, a big one. and North Growth, the foundation, and Oceanwise, which is, I guess, the Vancouver Aquarium, Sue Ellen?
Yeah, it used to be called the Vancouver Aquarium. Now it's called
Yes.
Oceanwise.
Yeah.
And this is one of the projects of their CORI, which is the Coastal Ocean, anyway, it's about Research Institute. And I think that things are changing with COVID and new executive director and that kind of thing. And also now the other new thing is that the Howe Sound Biosphere region is has been accepted by Canada, and is the idea of it being part of the Man in the Biosphere program, and one of the UNESCO biosphere sites is off to Paris. So we'll see what the international group feels like, and that's why this Ocean Watch Action Committee is proposed to be through that group that Ruth Simons is also a main part of.
Okay, thank you, Sue Ellen. Is there any idea from anybody about when the biosphere may be announced or not?
At the Howe Sound Community Forum a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
the announcement was that the Canadian Commissioner for the UNESCO Man in the Biosphere program was with us on the Zoom call from Ottawa or Montreal or somewhere. And he was, so the announcement was that Canada had put a big check mark beside the application and sent it off to the international body. So progress is being made. And I don't know, especially with COVID, what exactly the international schedule is.
All right, thanks, Sue Ellen. That's wonderful news. Okay, Allison.
Well, I was going to make reference to the biosphere. I think the indication was June or July of 2021, if I'm remembering correctly. We could hopefully hear about the biosphere results. And I was just, because we've got representatives on an external committee, it just occurred to me while I was reading through the agenda that we do have some people that are representatives on external committees that are representing Bowen, and maybe they should be added to the report list so that they can report out as to how they're contributing on our behalf or what's going on, as we do have representatives on committees, and only report out if there's been a meeting. It wouldn't necessarily need to report out every meeting, but just throwing that idea out while I remember.
Okay, I'm going to go to Maureen and then back to Sue Ellen.
Yeah, I was just looking at my notes on the timeline. We were told that in February we would have a pretty good idea, February of 2021. And then in June, July, we would have the results decision. And then the formal announcement would be fall of 2021. So it's fairly soon.
Yes, it is indeed.
One or the other.
Oh, that's great news. And back to Sue Ellen.
Oh, just on the reporting out idea. I only brought this because there were resolutions that we still have to vote on, that it was an actual vote. I don't know whether we need to do verbal reports on all the different committees that we and staff might be part of. And certainly we don't report on the Howe Sound Community Forum and some of those other things. They're happening in the background and anybody's welcome to ask. And then when we've got something significant, I can bring it.
Okay, thank you very much, Sue Ellen. All right, well, that's good stuff. If there's no further discussion, I'll ask a question. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, got everybody. Thank you very much. That's terrific. We're going to move on to the Island Trust Municipal Trustees, Fast and Kale, an update to council on Island Trust business. Whoever wants to start there.
Okay.
Michael?
Michael, you're on mute.
Mute.
Sorry, I think I won't comment further. I think because we've just approved the recommendation before this. So as far as I'm concerned, for this council meeting, that's sufficient from my end.
Okay, thank you.
I'll report. Yeah, just to let people know from the Islands Trust side of things. Of course, the Islands Trust is a little bit involved in Ocean Watch. Chair Luckham was at the Howe Sound Community Forum, and Islands Trust, as part of trust area services that Bowen contributes to provides a little bit of funding for the secretariat kind of function, keeping of minutes and keeping some of the room rentals and things like that for Ocean Watch Howe Sound, and for the what used to be the task force and is now the action committee. And I just wanted, so that's just one of the ways that Islands Trust sort of supports some of the things that we're involved in. And I wanted to mention that Trust Council is coming up in a couple of weeks. And this, because of COVID, we're all online. So anybody's welcome to join the Trust Council meeting. The schedule is, draft schedule is up. And this time we were having delegations in Town Hall on the Tuesday evening, December the 1st. So 7 to 9. So this is the first time that Trust Council, because usually people have to travel, it's the first time Trust Council has been able to hold an evening opportunity for public participation. So anybody's welcome to join in, and the information is at the Islands Trust website, or it's in our, it's actually in our agenda, I think, under 12.3
12.3 or something. I saw it in there.
12.6. Yeah. And there's a link to the Zoom meeting for that part. And the whole, most of Trust Council is open, as are Bowen Council meetings. So I just wanted to flag that that's coming up. And just as a member of the executive committee, I'm part of organizing Trust Council meetings. So if you have suggestions, you can let me know. And just more input, I had, I chaired the Denman and Hornby local trust committee meetings last week. And I think I had one more thing I was going to mention. Oh, and I've got financial planning committee on Thursday for the Islands
All right.
Trust.
Thank you very much, Sue Ellen. And we'll move on to Councillor Nicholson, re-updated Council on Metro Vancouver Regional Parks Committee meetings.
Thank you, Mayor Ander. Our next Metro Parks Committee meeting will be next Wednesday. The agenda will be posted in a couple of days. And our committee meetings are now also being broadcast live. So those who are keen on parks can check in. Today there was an announcement of an addition, part of the ongoing park expansion process, in addition to the cod wetlands out in Pitt Meadows. And every time there is an addition to Metro Parks, I kind of rhapsodize about it's just so great. Well, cod wetlands is really just so great. And you know, 56 acres added to the parkland base is really, sorry, 56 hectares added to the land base is really pretty significant. And one of the points that came up earlier today is that Metro Parks is actually responsible for 5% of the land base of the province. That is very significant. I think I got that number right.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and another little update is that the visitation continues to be very high to Metro Parks. This year it's running at 14 million, which is up 37% over last year, and is expected to just continue on that trajectory. Locally, you may have heard the absolute racket coming from helicopters flying over Dorman Point. What's happening there is that the site for Dorman Point is being cleaned up. There were buildings and all sorts of things that needed to be sorted out, and that's in process. The management plan is on the horizon for Dorman Point. It's still not open yet, but we're probably about a year and a bit away from a spectacular addition to our local Crippen Park. That's my report.
Thank you, Maureen. And we're going to move on to Councillor Alison Morris, update to Council on TransLink Mayor's Council meetings.
So we met on October the 29th, and I think the major discussion was the election hadn't happened, so was the discussion about the grant, you know, the promise from the provincial government now elected to build the Surrey SkyTrain. So, but we don't know how that'll work out. But the major was the confirmation of continuing to advance the mayor's plan as presented, and working on a 10-year investment plan. Every 10 years, they have to do an investment plan of the money. And so that is what's the major thrust is going to happen for 2021, and dealing with, of course, the COVID revenue losses and that kind of thing, and continuing to advance Transport 2050 long-term strategy. And as I said, the mayor's 10-year vision, and trying to continue to advance that and not get into new things. So that's, I think, the basis of the discussion. So.
All right, thank you, Allison. And section 10.6 is to move to a closed meeting, and the recommendation is the council move to a closed meeting immediately following the regular council meeting to discuss items pursuant to section.
Sorry, Mayor Andrew, you're just jumping the gun there.
Oh,
We
what did I
discussed
jump on?
The new business item from Councillor Nicholson.
Oh, I did jump the gun on that. Yeah.
Yeah, all good. Just that's what I'm
Yeah.
here for. Councillor Nicholson has asked me to share my screen just with the resolution or the recommendation.
I had it here.
Do that. So it's just on my screen here, just from the
Okay,
email
got
that I
it.
sent out to council earlier today.
Okay, sorry. So over to you, Maureen.
Thank you, Miranda. The recommendation relates to helping some of the folks on the island who are trying to move forward with the establishment of on-island COVID testing. There are resources, financial resources available through a number of sources, the Resiliency Fund, possibly the Health Centre Foundation, possibly the Community Foundation itself. This recommendation would enable a staff person to work with Dr. Schlegel to identify some of the logistical issues and what kind of funding would be required in order to put this in place. Dr. Schlegel is very happy to be involved in this, but she just can't take on the responsibility for working through all of the details. So in discussion with members of the Resiliency Fund, the Health Centre Foundation, the Community Foundation, they had indicated, if you remember in the letter that we approved council meeting ago, they had indicated that they would be happy to entertain a grant application. So in the sort of changing circumstances that we're within, where there's added constraints on socializing and travel, it seems even more important that we try to make some headway on this. My understanding is that Vancouver Coastal Health is not prepared to move forward with providing on-island testing, so it seems as though we're going to need a local solution. So the recommendation I'll read and move. That council directs staff to work with Dr. Suzanne Schlegel to identify the logistical and funding support required to establish on-island COVID testing and to provide assistance in writing a grant application to the Resiliency Fund and or other COVID-related funding programs administered by the Bowen Island Community Foundation and the Health Centre Foundation. So I'll move that.
Okay, thank you, Maureen. Do we have a second on that? Thank you, Sue Ellen. I have you there. Okay, discussion. So are you thinking that we are going to go into this privately? Is that the idea?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by privately, given that we're a local government.
Or is it still going to be, Vancouver Coastal who runs it? Or
to be honest, Gary, I don't know all the details. And that's the problem that we're running into this. We don't know the details. we actually need somebody to sit down and figure out all of those logistical details. I know that Dr. Schlegel and Dr. Blackwood have been in conversation with Vancouver Coastal Health. I mean, the link is there. It's just that Coastal Health is not prepared to take the initiative on this.
So if I may,
Go ahead, Liam.
I don't know the details either, but my sense is that it would be akin to a private clinic. So because it wouldn't be a publicly funded service, it would be a quasi private clinic service.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Finish up.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so right now you can get testing done at and a lot of businesses and especially industrial sector will have all of their employees tested at private clinics. And you know, the testing is very similar, but it's not putting then the burden on the public clinics and the public testing sites. And if Vancouver Coastal Health is unwilling or unable to put up a clinic on the island, then you'd either need a private facility to step forward or some sort of hybrid, which I think is what we're exploring here, is more of like a hybrid type system.
And what the resolution says is that staff will identify the logistical and funding support required. It doesn't say staff will go ahead and establish an on-island COVID testing clinic. We're trying to suss out what's needed in order to advance this.
Okay. Anybody else? Who have I got here? Rob?
Yeah, thanks for bringing this forward, Maureen. I'm going to support this. You know, this is a perfect example of, you know, how we spend our budgets on emergency services. And this is probably the biggest emergency in our lifetime. And we're sort of scrambling for money and seeking funding here and there. Yet, you know, we spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands on fire services. And so I totally support, you know, moving forward on getting some money for this, which is a way, way bigger issue and that we're really spending almost no money on. So whether it means looking for funding or us even looking at within our own emergency services funding to see how we can get this money. But this is obviously probably the biggest issue we'll face in our lifetime. And I think it deserves a lot more financial attention from the municipality. So I wholeheartedly will support your motion.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Sue Ellen?
Yeah, I support the motion. I think it's very timely, having heard about the grant support money that we're getting from the province, which I see as to help the community get through COVID-19 and the municipality. And if what we're asking for through this motion is some staff time to, as Maureen says, identify the logistical and funding support required and to help write a grant, then that seems pretty small compared to the over $1.25 million that we just got in a grant. And it seems like the kind of thing to do to help in our unique island situation where people would have to travel off island, take a lot. Anyway, I like the idea of self-sufficiency. Let's explore it, and a little bit of staff time towards that. I support it. We could put a condition on it if we wanted, but having had the grant money and I just think we should just pass it as it is, and people will check, staff will check in with our CAO and let it go ahead. So I'm in support.
Okay, thanks, Sue Ellen. And that's about it. Anybody else have any comments on this? I was looking at a map today of all the testing stations, and the only Gulf island that has a testing station, of course, is Salt Spring. So none of the other islands have it. So I don't think we're going to strike out very well. I think we're going to strike out with the government, Vancouver Coastal. I don't think they're going to come along with it. But I think it's worth investigating. I'm a little worried about staff time. But we do have some funds available for that exact same reason as Sue Ellen said. So yeah, I think I'll go ahead on it. So if there's any further discussion, Okay, I'll ask the question. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, that's unanimous. Well done. And okay, now we're going to move to a closed meeting. The council moved to a closed meeting immediately following the regular council meeting to discuss items pursuant to section 90-1-A, E,
Perfect.
K of the community charter. And we've covered the items removed from the consent agenda. There's information items, question period. I don't think there's any.
Sorry, Mariander, we just need a move and a mover and a seconder and a vote on that motion to move to a close, please.
Oh,
Second.
yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you. And all in favor? Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
I had a question around the closed meeting and I don't quite understand. There's a couple of items there. One of them is obviously just fine. The other one, I'm not quite sure what we're being asked. If it's simply to receive for information, then that's completely fine. If we're to approve the motion that I've seen, then that doesn't have anything to do with items E or K of the community charter.
Can we discuss this once we get into the closed meeting?
Okay.
And to keep it open in the open meeting, is that what you're suggesting?
I'm saying,
Can't do that now.
recognize
Point
a
of order.
Yes,
We've
exactly.
approved the
Allison, go ahead.
We've
Sorry?
approved the agenda for the open meeting already, and we're now at the end of the agenda. So
I'm speaking to the item of moving to a closed meeting, Allison.
well, that's just to move to a closed meeting, not what's in the closed meeting.
Yeah,
We haven't approved the agenda for the closed meeting yet. We could amend the motion to move to a closed if we're unsure of whether we should be discussing that item in closed. We can, there is a provision under the community charter that we can
Yeah.
move to close to discuss the merits of whether it should be closed or not. And that is section 91N, the consideration of whether a council meeting should be closed under a provision of this subsection or subsection 2. So why don't we add that to the motion? And when we can move to it, we can either decide whether it's appropriate or not appropriate. And if it's not appropriate, we can defer it to the next open council meeting.
Okay, so we'll do that in the closed meeting is what you're saying?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
Can we also, since we're in discussion, Mayor Ander,
sure, go ahead.
I'm wondering if we can also add J. I've been looking at the community charter and we mentioned a person by name in there, and there's privacy laws around things like that.
Sorry, which item are you referring to?
It was in my email.
Okay, sorry, I'd have to go back and look at that.
Doesn't matter. I just don't want to say any names or do any of that kind of thing in an open meeting.
That's section A covers that off. So that's the
Okay.
Committee appointments fall under that subsection.
Okay, David, I've got you on the list here, or do you want to comment again or not?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. And Rob?
Yeah, I wanted to comment on this one as well. And I'm not going to be moving into a closed, I'm not going to be attending a closed meeting to discuss this, because if it gets turned down, I'm not comfortable discussing item 3.1 in a closed meeting, because it shouldn't be in the closed meeting in the first place. And, you know, I mentioned this about a month ago, and we went into a closed meeting when I thought it was inappropriate. It made it very uncomfortable for me to then go out and speak on the issue, and the general public was not able to hear what we had to say. And I think these deliberations need to happen in public. Item 3.1 is clearly not under E or K under the community charter. I don't know why it's in there in the first place. But these decisions have major impacts on, well, this one in particular, on future council decisions and financial and tax implications. And there's no reason they should be in a closed council meeting. So I don't want to move into a closed council and then have this discussion moving forward. It should be an open if it needs to be discussed. And, you know, I've expressed this today on email. We could have done it earlier, but now we're in an uncomfortable situation. But I'm definitely not going to go into a closed council meeting with that item on the agenda, because I think it's inappropriate. And it goes against what I see in the community charter here, which says, you know, it's either acquisition or disposition or expropriation of land. or negotiations related to discussions of provisions that will affect municipal services. It doesn't fall anywhere in there, so it should have never been in there in the first place. And I don't think it's even worthy of a discussion whether it should be in there in a closed meeting. So I'm not comfortable going into closed with that item being on there. So I don't know if other councillors have a rationale why that item is in a closed. I would love to hear it, but I don't see any rationale whatsoever why that's in the closed meeting. And I have expressed this earlier today, so.
Well, that's your personal opinion. In my opinion, it's quite indicative of the use of that land, and that's why it's in the closed. That's why it's in the closed meeting.
Vote on this?
Okay, Liam, I'm going to go to Liam for some.
Oh no, I was just gonna. I echo Maureen's.
We should
comment
vote
there.
on whether we're going to close or not.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, Maureen, what was that? I couldn't hear you. Sorry, you cut out. on me.
Whether we're going to close or not. It's inappropriate to be having this level of detailed discussion.
I agree.
No.
I agree.
I
And
won't
so
be attending the closed meeting if that's where we go.
So I'll ask the question. All in favor?
I just want to, yeah, okay.
Okay, and opposed? Opposed? Rob? Okay, so
Yeah.
Councillor Wynn in opposition. Okay, and we'll go back to the regular council. And yeah, so there's no question period. There's nobody here. So this meeting is now adjourned, and we will go regroup for 7:30 for the closed council meeting.
If council wishes to,
Yeah,
the motion does say that council may move to a closed meeting immediately following the regular council meeting. So if council doesn't want to wait until 7:30, we can certainly
Yeah,
pick it up.
as long as there's nothing in the timing there that is.
Nope, the motion says move to a closed meeting immediately following the regular council meeting. So
I just want to make sure there wasn't anybody presenting there that's not going to be there. Okay, that's fine.
Nope.
Do we
There's no,
give
Go ahead.
Mary Andrew time to grab a bite of eat to dinner?
if everyone would like to
Oh,
reconvene
wait.
at 7:30, that's totally fine. I just was giving you the option.
Okay, so I will convene the closed council
And
meeting.
so are we supposed to sign out of this one and sign in again?
I
Yeah.
don't think, yeah. Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Different, okay. So
It's in the
bye,
calendar
everybody.
invite.
We'll see you in 5.
Okay.
well, I won't be there at the closed, so have a good night.
Are
Okay.
we going straight in? I missed that.
Yeah.
We are.
Well,
I
5
just
minutes.
said Sue Ellen,
5 minutes.